I'm at the etrailer. If you have a 2022 Toyota 4Runner and you're looking at trying to carry those extra heavy bikes, but you need some help getting them on your rack, then the Yakima OnRamp LX Bike Rack is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. The reason why I say this is great for loading your heavy e-bikes on is going to be because we actually have this built-in ramp on our carrier. That's great because you have a spot for it and it's going to be really hard to lose. The second reason why this is great for those heavy e-bikes is going to be because we have a 80-pound weight capacity per bike holding up the two of them. So this will be able to hold most e-bikes, and that's really not going to affect our tilt weight too much. To really show you what I mean, I'm going to pull both these pins back here. And this is recommended to do with two people because it can be a little bit tricky. I recommend just pulling on the rack a little bit so you can pull those pins more easily. And as you can see, we have plenty of space back here, and that's going to give me the ability to open up my hatch. And the closest point we're really going to have is going to be our handlebars. So right up here, we have still quite a bit of space. Now, if you have any extra long handlebars, there is the chance they could make contact, but definitely just keep an eye on that. And with this opened up completely, this is going to give you a lot of opportunities. So you can either load this up with whatever gear or groceries you have at the moment, or if you want to get ready for your ride, you can grab your shoes, tie them right here, and grab your helmet, and then get ready for your ride. And once you're done, we can close up our hatch and put this back into the seated position. And all you have to do for that is lifting up on the rack until it clicks into place. Once you hear that click into place, then make sure you just put in that secondary pin that we pulled out earlier. And if you want to take a closer look at this rack, I'm going to have to remove my bike. So where I like to start is with these straps. You're going to have two of them, one for each tire. And what I really like about this is we actually have an area right here we can store that strap. So when you try to wheel this off, it's not going to get in your way. Just like that. We'll do the same thing on the back side. Once we finish up here, instead of fully removing the bike completely, I'm actually going to take off our ramp. Because I want our bike to have that extra support, and to take off our ramp, we're going to just reach back over here and remove this ramp. And then we're going to have plenty of space to do so. And really, to actually get this ramp to work, you actually have to separate these with this extra knob. And this is a little bit more tedious than some other options out there to put together. As you can see, it can get a little bit confusing. Once we have everything lined up, then we just put these knobs back on. With both of those in place, then we can put this at the very end of this tray, making sure we have the side with the two tabs going into the slot. You might have to angle it up a bit to get the seat in there properly. But once you do, you can lower it back down. We can finally take off our bike, and to do that, all I'm going to do is press this button. That's going to let me release this strap. Now just be careful you maintain control of your bike so it doesn't fall over and hit your car. And with that strap loose, I'm just going to push this out to the side. It's not going to get in my way. And from here, we can just start using our ramp to unload this. We're just going to roll it off. A point you're going to probably find is that you might hit this post here, so you might just have to lift up on the back end some, then route it around. And from here we can take it off. Now while I do like this rack because it does make it a little bit easier to take off our heavy e-bikes, you are going to have some obstacles. Like you saw earlier when I was trying to unload my bike, the pedals kept on hitting the center mass. And we have a lighter e-bike back here, so it's about maybe 55 pounds. So it is pretty heavy still, but if you are trying to maximize the bikes you can put on here to those 80-pound bikes, that's going to be really difficult to maneuver around the center mass. And like you saw earlier, it is a little bit of a hassle to put this ramp together whenever you need it. Now, if you are looking for a solution for both of those, then I'd recommend the Rocky Mounts Gigawatt. Because what's nice about that is it won't have a center mass. It's just going to have a wheel mount, so nothing's going to really get in your way when you're rolling it off. And this ramp is just gonna be one piece. You don't have to worry about any knobs or screwing anything together. And it's actually gonna be a little bit longer too. Now the one downside though is since this is just one piece, it is gonna be a little bit longer and it's gonna take up more space in your vehicle. And that's because we're not gonna have any place to really mount this ramp on our carrier. But when your bike is off, we can start putting everything back into place. So I like to start with this center mass, securing that back down. And to really fold that back into place, there's actually going to be a knob right at the base. I'm just going to pull on that pin, just like that, and this will lower down. Once it lowers all the way down, it'll be caught in this grip right here, and just make sure you put your center or your ramp back into place. But from here, we can get a few measurements. So the first measurement I like to get is going to be the total distance that sticks out. So if we go from our back bumper to the back of the carrier, that's going to be right about under 32 inches. So that's pretty good. That's pretty standard for most 2-bike carriers. I still just recommend if you're in a tight spot like a parking spot, just keep an eye on it. The next measurement I like to get is going to be our ground clearance. So just coming here to the ground, that's going to sit at just a little bit under 23 inches. That's not too bad either. There's two things to think about there, though. The first thing is how close we are to the ground. With this height, we're definitely not going to make ground clearance. The second thing is when you're loading your bikes up here. If you don't plan on using that ramp, that is going to be quite a bit of a lift. And something else to think about with that ramp is if you're in uneven terrain, if you're in this really steep slope, that ramp's going to be a lot more inclined, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to push back into place. But that's going to be some more rare occasions. Now we actually can save a lot of space when we don't have any bikes on here, and all we have to do for that is to fold this into place. And to do that, we're just going to come to the front of it, and again, you're just going to pull both these pins. And I like this rack because we have plenty of space to stand back here. Nothing's really going to get in our way. And now we can just lift up until it kind of stops. You'll hear a click. And again, just make sure you put that secondary pin back on here just so it doesn't go anywhere. And now if I measure from our back bumper to the back of the carrier, that's only going to be at 13 inches. So that's going to save you a lot of space. In my opinion, I think this is going to be a pretty decent option for carrying your heavy e-bikes. But of course, like I was saying earlier, there's some other great options out there like the Rocky Mounts Gigawatts for the reasons I was talking about, and just for the reason since it can carry a variety of more bikes, since it does have wheel mounts instead of hooking to your frame, which is going to be perfect for those carbon frame, alternative frame, or any bikes that are a really nice paint job. But what I also like about this is very compact and it keeps everything you need just in one spot rather than keeping some of your items in your vehicle. It's really just going to come down to what your needs are. But again, that was just a look at the Yakima OnRamp LX bike rack on the back of our 2022 Toyota 4Runner. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.